Alright, so I want to talk a little bit about the 5S-FE oil pumps today. Over here on the right side, you've got the original OEM, I guess it's pronounced AISIN brand or Asian brand or something. And over on the left side, you've got an aftermarket El Cheapo. I guess it was maybe $30 or $40. If you buy the aftermarket original, you're looking at maybe around $200, sometimes $250, depending on which one you get. So first of all, in this video, I'm not going to show you how to actually replace it, but I believe the information that I have is very important. So if you're doing this job, I'd go ahead and listen. And I'll go ahead and make, I guess, a 4 or 5 points here. The information that I learned, I went ahead and I had to do this job about 2 or 3 times because of the lower quality parts that I bought, and it was my mistake. So hopefully you'll learn from my mistakes. But basically, I would say point number 1, you need to go ahead and buy OEM, an OEM oil pump housing if you're going to do this whole job. It's very, very important that you do not buy one of these crappy $30 parts, however tempting it may be. And I'll get to that later. I'll explain what happened to me later. I just want to kind of make these points real quick. Definitely buy OEM, or at least as close as you can to it. As far as the seals go, it's made in Japan, so that's where the original equipment was made from. This right here is the original seal, and you can see it's pretty thick. And these right here are also original brand. This is the one that I put in and it started leaking. So you definitely don't want to buy something from AutoZone or Advanced Auto. You're just going to be causing yourself trouble. The gasket that goes around the actual back of the housing itself against the block, you're going to get a paper gasket, and that actually comes with OEM product, which is weird. I don't understand why they did that. This is originally what came off the vehicle. This is metal shim with rubber coating, and you're going to have to buy that from Rock Auto or somewhere. That's where I got mine from. This extra paper gasket, I'll get to that in a second. I just kind of want to continue with my points, I guess. Let's see. So on the actual pump housing itself, you'll see mine's cracked right here. This is the original. There's a little spacer that goes in here. You're going to want to swap that over to your new one because oil does seep out of that. You don't want to just put a bolt in there. And for all the bolts, I just cleaned them off real good. I didn't put anything on them, and it's been running for about 3 or 4 days now. Absolutely no oil leaks. It's been great. So I think that's about it. That's going to be the end of the information part of my video. That's the main points that I learned. It'll save you a lot of trouble if you follow that. So now I'll go ahead and get into what actually happened to me. So like I said, I bought this aftermarket part, and I installed everything. And one more thing, you're going to want to buy an inch-pound torque wrench. Make sure you're torquing it to 78 inch-pounds. That's the specification. Very important. But anyways, I torqued everything down right, and my crankshaft seal was leaking. So I took that one out. This is the one I put in there. I had to buy the original, and that actually fixed that. Well, then the side, the actual housing itself started leaking right, against the block. And so I did some research, and I figured out that I need to buy the original metal shim gasket with rubber coated on it. That's what originally came off. So that should logically be what goes back on. I had this paper gasket on. Now about this is what came with the housing. There's an extra section up here that is completely unnecessary. This back wall right here where that goes does not touch the block. There's actually a space in there of like air. It's like a space. And so if you look at the back of the oil pump, this groove right here around this bolt hole is actually raised higher than the groove that goes all the way around where the gasket goes. This right here is not as high as that, is what I'm saying. And so when you bolt everything down, if you have a metal shim gasket on here, if this is higher than this, with the gasket, it'll be even, right? So if you put on something like this, And I know it's paper, so it's not very thin, and it'll squish down. I understand that, but kind of hear me out with where I'm going with this. If you bolt that down, it's not going to be even. And what happened to me on this one, you'll see I've got a bunch of JB Weld right here, which I know it's stupid, but I was kind of desperate because I'd already done the job twice by this point. But so I tried covering up what appeared to be a crack. There was a crack in the housing itself. And part of that might be because it's El Cheapo, it's, you know, crappy brand, whatever. That might be part of it, but I think this had something to do with it. So I figured I'd share that information in the video as well. So that actually kind of covers the seal. You need to buy the right seal. After I bought the right seal, everything, you know, was perfect. No leaks, no nothing. So that's definitely important. That covers the gasket. That was leaking, and now it wasn't when I put, you know, the original Quality back on. And that kind of sort of solves the entire housing itself with the crack that happened. I've got my car back together. I've been driving it for several days, and no leaks, so that kind of solved that problem as well. That's actually about it. Oh, and definitely use an actual like cork rubber gasket for the oil pan that goes along the entire bottom of the block. I tried just using Gasket Maker the first time, and it was leaking, so maybe I did it wrong or something, but I figured I'd throw that in there. And like I said, it's possible that, you know, there's, or maybe I didn't say this, I don't know, there's, you know, 20-year mechanics who are going to laugh at this video and say it's stupid. You know, it's obvious, you know, anyone with a brain can figure that out, but I don't know, I didn't know, and it took me, you know, an extra couple times to kind of learn all that information about using original parts and stuff. So hopefully someone finds that helpful, and I guess have fun doing this job. It's really not too bad if you just have to do it one time, but you got to make sure you buy the original parts. That's really the main point of this video. One last thing I'll mention real quick before I wrap this up. When you take this off, make sure you put every bolt hole back in the exact hole that it came out of. You can use a piece of paper or cardboard or whatever. It should be obvious because some of them won't fit when you put them back in, but the one last thing I'll say is your oil pump housing has to be spotless and bone dry. The block on the vehicle has to be spotless, oil-free, bone dry, and you just lay that on there where it fits. There's these little hooks that'll fit in there to keep it in place, and then you just torque it down. I went from 30 to 50 to about 78 is the final torque specification. And like I said, I've been driving the car for days now, and it's been doing just fine. No leaks, so yeah, that should be about it. Good luck.